Much, Elise. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about who Canadian Mental Health Association in Prince Albert is. It started out 102 years ago in Montreal, and it's become a national organization which has well over 135 individual branches. The Saskatchewan one started in the mid-50s, and Prince Albert started around 1990, so we've been around about 30 years. I started in 2004 and have been there ever since. We've grown quite a bit over the last 17 years. We started out with a drop-in center, lunch programs, and a vocational program. In our lunch program, we serve anywhere over 7,000 meals per year. This year will be slightly different because of COVID, but we're quite proud of the work that we're doing with the lunch program. A lot of our guys may not receive any other form of nutrition that day. So to be able to come into our branch and have lunch in a timely manner is quite important. We also have the drop-in center itself, where we shoot pool, play games, do different things. Try and have education in-house. So we have a writing program called Writing for Your Life. They've actually published a few books, and they also have an art program that operates once every 2 weeks, and it's facilitated by a gentleman named Alan Reuter. We have a display usually at the Prince Albert Art Gallery on Central Avenue. This year, the exception, of course, again from COVID. But we try and highlight all of our different artists, our quilting, our writing program, and photography. And so with all of those things in place, our people have a lot of ways to express themselves, which is valuable because we all have something to say and we all need to be valued and cherished and recognized and feel the value of our self-esteem. And by doing all of these things to express ourselves and having people actually interested in seeing it makes a big difference in people's self-esteem. We also do educational workshops, which is mental health first aid and assist and safe talk. And these are all communication tools on how to talk to people who are in crisis. And if someone's in crisis, then they have lost perspective, and what's bothering them has stepped them into an anxiety response, which is causing them to lose control of their circumstances. And when we're able to talk to somebody using the tools of mental health first aid or assist, then what we're able to do is listen to them non-judgmentally, give them a chance to talk about what's going on. If you've ever seen a 5-year-old come running into the house at lunchtime, Mom, guess what? And Mom says, it's time for lunch. Take off your shoes, go wash your hands. But Mom. No, go do as you're told. And they vibrate until they get a chance to say, I just saw the cat kill a sparrow and it was so cool. And when they get a chance to say what they need to say, the stress is gone and they're able to go and do what they actually need to do. And that's for all of us. And what we're finding during this pandemic is we are all been put into a hyper-stress situation because we are being limited, restricted, and told that we can't do what we normally would do. And for a lot of people, life hasn't changed that much, but it's being told that we can't do it that is bothering us. For a lot of us, if we were told by the pandemic, you cannot stay at home, you have to be going out all the time and interacting with everybody, we'd all be screaming to stay home. We just want to stay home. But because we've been asked to stay home, we're all screaming that we need to go out and see people, we need to interact. And that's natural because we're all social creatures. Some of the other stuff that we're doing at Canadian Mental Health Association is we started a hydroponics program this year with a grant from the Prince Albert Area Community Foundation. And with that, we're going to try growing our own vegetables for our lunch program. So if that works out well, then we'll get to a point where we have excess of produce and we will turn around and give it away to our tenants in our apartment block. The residential program that we have includes 3 apartment blocks now, 22 separate units, and they are dedicated to people living with mental illnesses in our community. It's a chance for us to provide a support worker, which is crucial to a lot of people, because if we don't know exactly what we're doing, we don't know how to navigate. And that's what we run into with a lot of different things. If you have to fill out a form that you're not used to, if you're having to go through an office, there's so many variables and we don't know how to navigate it, and that causes stress. So our support workers are there to help people navigate. And that's what we're finding again with the pandemic, is so many people don't know how to go forward with different things. They rolled out the CERB and all of the other different financial aids that they put out there for businesses, etc. But if you don't know how to navigate it, it causes stress. So one of the things that we find important is learning how to navigate things. And that's one of the things that we do as a coping mechanism. We also have a firewood program that we started last year. So we've collected quite a bit of firewood and we're selling it at $30 a bag. And the bags are about the size of a 50-pound onion bag. So if anybody's interested in firewood, just by all means get a hold of me. We've got a few bags lined up and we've got several pallets. We have this year, we started a helpline through the Saskatchewan Division office in Regina, and they were able to procure phones for all of the different branches. And we have that helpline available. I'm not sure what the number is because I answer the phone. I don't actually call the phone. So I'll have to look into what that number is, and I'll get at least to send it out to everybody on what that number may be. That being said, why is mental health important? It's not just isolated group of people that are living with mental health. We all have mental health, and with that mental health, we have good days and bad days. And someone who starts to experience depression, well, we've all had down days and bad days. Anybody who's ever had a hangover has experienced the symptoms and signs of depression. So we all go up and down on our daily lives, and for most of us, our high starts on a Friday and ends on a Sunday night, and then we hit a low on Monday morning, and we go through that cycle on a weekly basis. For some people, it's seasonal, where they're happy all summer, and they go into a depression in this winter because of the lack of vitamin D being produced through the lack of sunlight. People who live underground, working in mines, may not get the sunlight they need to produce the vitamin D. So as a result, they end up experiencing a form of seasonal affective disorder. People who work in an office building where there's no office windows to the outside can also experience that, or if you work night shift. So keeping that in mind, we all go through that cycle. That's why I think it's no coincidence that we celebrate Halloween in October. 8 weeks later, we celebrate Christmas. 8 weeks later, we have Valentine's Day. 8 weeks later, we have Easter, and then we're all good for the summer. So it's something that we all can have stuff to look forward to, because that's what it's all about, is having hope for the future. So when we're looking at it, we have a stress response mechanism. Everything that happens to us is a biochemical response in our body. When someone says boo and you're startled, that startle results in your body becoming flushed, your heart rate increases, your breathing increases, you may start to shake or shiver. You get that warm shiver down the back of your spine, your hair rises. These are all physical responses to a biochemical message in our bodies that says there's danger somewhere, we have to prepare for it. And what happens is when we're made aware of a danger and it causes that anxiety response, that stress motivates us to perform at our best to solve the problem. So if someone comes in with walking down an alley and a dog barks at you, you're startled and you're ready to run for your life, fight for your life, or freeze and hope the dog doesn't see you. That being said, what we're looking at with that stress response is all of those things are healthy things. People think that, I'm having an anxiety attack, I'm in trouble. And the reality is those are all things that are helping you prepare to fight for your life or run for your life. So if we start to look at it with a different perspective of it's a healthy thing that's happening, it means we're aware of our surroundings and what's going on around us. Anything, though, that becomes an extreme starts to become an illness. So that if you're living with a sense of anxiety or stress all the time, without fail, and without it diminishing, and there's no reason for it, that's when it may become an anxiety disorder. So the difference between a mental health issue of being startled or having a good day or a bad day and an illness is how long it lasts and how severe it becomes, where we're incapacitated. Somebody with a phobia, for example, afraid of snakes, if a snake slithers through the room, they are terrified. Some people get terrified just by seeing the snake on TV. Others become terrified just by saying the word snake. So I apologize ahead of time because I've said it several times, so I apologize. So when we're looking at the mental health issues with depression and anxiety are the two major ones that are the most common. That is what most of the people are going through with this pandemic at this point in time, because we're experiencing depression because we're not being allowed to do what we normally would do. And we're also quite anxious because we certainly don't want to catch COVID-19 or transmit it to anybody else or be ridiculed or exposed for not following the rules properly. So it becomes a form of embarrassment if we're not following and doing what we're supposed to be doing. We become shunned by other people, and the whole process becomes quite convoluted simply because what's happening is we don't know how to respond to what's going on around us. And everything is so new. We are used to change on a regular basis. And with that change, you know, the little things that change on a daily basis, we can absorb that and adjust to it. But this pandemic has made such a major sweeping change that we really don't know how to respond to it properly. And a lot of people are responding in the way that they need to, but a lot of people are not. And that causes all the stress, the anxiety, and for a lot of people, the depression. And it becomes a cycle of isolation, because when we become isolated from others, we don't operate as well as we could. We are social creatures. We are meant to interact with each other. We get biochemical feedback from each other. When someone smiles at you and you smile back, that's a biochemical reaction between two people that is showing that we're part of the community and we're part of a group and we're part of being accepted. And when we become isolated, we lose track of that. And with that isolation, if we don't find ways to alleviate it, then it becomes worse and worse and worse. One of the issues that I think is out there in this day and age with social media is all of our kids are always connected to each other, but it's through mechanical means of their phones and different social medias. And as a result, while they're always connected, they're not interacting in a face-to-face level. And that's what a lot of us are missing when we become isolated through the pandemic. Does anybody have any questions at this point in time? That'll help me steer in the right direction for what you're wanting to hear.
I'm wondering how you, you know, what your programs, how you address the addictions portion, the mental health and addictions, or is that a part of your purview, or is it?
That's not a part of our purview. So the question is, how do we address mental health and addictions? With Canadian Mental Health Association, excuse me, our programs are specifically aimed at people with mental illnesses. And it's a place to provide them with a place to go where they can build their self-esteem and interact with each other without judgment. People with addictions, there are addiction programs in the city that people can take advantage of. We don't address them as much at our drop-in center.
Okay, but the two are tied closely together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what would you do if somebody with addictions issues comes to you looking for some mental health help?
For the most part, what we do is we listen non-judgmentally. That's the most important piece anybody can do, and that's the mainstay of the mental health first aid course, is to learn how to listen non-judgmentally. We all judge people on a regular basis. We can't help it. We have to judge what are they saying, how accurate is it, how truthful is it, and we assess it quite seriously. But we keep that assessment internalized. We don't need to judge people out loud in their face and make them feel less than who they are, because they're trying to find help. And if they're seeking help, then it behooves us to give them the help. So for the most part, what we're trying to do is find ways to navigate. And it goes back to navigating through the system. If somebody presents to our office or to anybody else in the community and they're asking for help, we try to give them help. If they're asking for directions, we try to give them the best directions that we can on how to get to where they need to go. And someone with addiction issues may be needing to go to one of the detox centers, or they may be needing to go talk to an addiction counselor. Most of these things are available through Saskatchewan Health Authority. They do have a drop-in center for mental health issues, and it's a walk-in clinic where where people who present are assessed through a triage process. You'd have to talk to the Sask Health Authority just for more details. Right now, my understanding is they're taking things through the telephone simply because of COVID-19, but they are trying to help people who are falling through the cracks. Somebody who presents today and is having thoughts of suicide needs help today. They don't need help in 3 months when the next counselor is available. So this program is designed to address that crack in the system where we get help for people immediately when they do need help. One of the strong points of our drop-in center and what we're doing with our vocation programs is giving people a sense of purpose. They have a place to go where they're important, they mean something, they are valued, and they have something to do. And that having that schedule is so important. For all of us who are working, we look forward to our vacation. But the difference between vacation and unemployment is duration. One lasts longer than the other. Most of us, if we have more than 2 or 3 weeks vacation, start to go a little bit stir crazy because we're ready to go back to work. It's not that we want to go back to work, but we're ready because we've run out of money, we've run out of things to do, we've run out of time, we've gotten our rest, and we're ready to get back into the swing of things. So our programs provide that sense of self-esteem and provide that sense of purpose for people. Somebody who comes into our program and washes the floor once a day or once a week has a job that they go to that's just as important to them as mine is to me on a daily basis.
So the people that come to you, do people also house them there? Majority of them, or do they have their own places to come back?
Everybody lives elsewhere. Yeah, so some people are in approved homes, some people are living independently, some people are living independently in our residential program. Like I said, we have about 22 units, and we're hoping to increase that, of course, but for the moment, it's 22. It's 3 different apartment blocks. The money for that came from the Saskatchewan Housing Corporation, as well as our mortgage to our programs. And our first one came through the National Homelessness Initiative, and they helped out quite a bit. But now we have the 22 units, which allow people to live independently. Some of them have never lived independently in their lives until this point, and they're living quite successfully.
So when you say people at the drop-in center have, you're trying to give them a sense of purpose and increase their self-esteem. So you have actual activities they do at the drop-in center?
Yes, we do. We have lots of stuff in the drop-in center as far as the shooting pool, watching TV, playing video games, all the things that they might do at home, but now they get to do them with other people and they're interacting socially. The other things that we have at the drop-in center that are important is all of the bulk of the work is done by our clients. They're coming in, they're the ones that are cooking the meal, doing the janitorial work, working in the hydroponics lab, working in our As Good as New store, helping us cut and pack the firewood. They're doing that work. They get a small honorarium for that work. That gives them a sense of purpose, that gives them that sense of self-esteem, that they're working towards something and making a difference in the community.
And acquiring job skills.
Absolutely. That's one of the major things that we're doing. We have a contract with Labor Market Services to provide the references, resumes, letters of reference for them, and just trying to get them into the workforce. We've had quite a few people that have transitioned into the workforce, and they may eventually transition back to our programs, or they may be working part-time in a job and then coming back to the drop-in center for their social life. It makes a difference. One of the other things that we do is we host practicum students from different programs. So we've had continuing care assistant students, we've had nursing students, we have quite a few social work students from First Nations University and the U of R that are coming through the program, and they'll spend 3 months with us and working as a staff member, trying to get to know how to communicate with people, because most of the people that we work with are going to be living with and or experiencing depression or anxiety as a result of their life circumstance. If they weren't, then they may not have needed the help in the first place. So the ones that are needing the help, those are the ones that the social workers are working with, and we're teaching them how to communicate, treating people as people, not as case files.
So over the years, the stigma must have changed how the community accepts this program. Now with helping people.
I think most charities feel like they're the best kept secret in the whole city. You know, we've been doing quite a bit. We were on the radio for quite a few years. We do our programming. We try and get our name out there, but it's one of those things where we're busy doing what we do. We don't have time for the marketing piece as much. Has the stigma reduced? I think it has. I think people are more willing to accept the fact that people have mental illnesses and that they may have mental illnesses. I'm surprised at the number of people that will pull me aside and just whisper quietly, you know, I take something for my anxiety, or I take something for depression. And, you know, the fact that they're willing to tell me is huge, because most people have kept that in the closet, and it's coming out of the closet now, much more so. And that is due in large part to programs like what Bell Media does with their Let's Talk, but also a lot of celebrities coming out and talking about their own personal mental health journeys. I see it coming in the near future, where most people will claim to have a mental health issue of some kind, because to not have one makes you out of the ordinary. Because we all are, well, as one of my colleagues put it once, we're all crazy. Not all of us have been caught.
Doug, question.
And so at different points of our lives, right, we probably all go through some kind of mental health crisis. Would that be accurate? I think so. The stats say that 1 in 5 people in any given year, and 1 in 3 people in any given lifetime. But I believe that we all go through a crisis. The minute you've gotten into your first trouble as a child, the time you have your heart broken for the first time, and we've all had our heart broken at least once. When you're going for a job interview and you're wanting to do your best and you're anxious about it, that's a mental health issue, because anything to do with our mood or our ability to think is part of our mental health. It's as simple as that. So everybody goes through good days and bad days. If we wake up hoping to go for a picnic and it's raining out, our mood dive bombs down to the bottom. If we're expecting to be doing nothing today and someone shows up with something fun to do, we automatically skyrocket, and we go through that up and down cycle.
Hey, question.
The bell rang.
Okay.
Question from the audience. Okay, good. So some of us haven't had a break since COVID started in our offices or whatever. What signs should be watched, for example, with Donna and I working closely together? And I'm using us as an example because we're easy to pick on. What things should we be watching for in each other to make sure that everything is okay?
I think that anytime someone exhibits a change in behavior from the norm, that's when we have to wonder what's going on. We are all at risk, for example, we're all at risk of suicide. Anybody who exhibits a change in behavior or has experienced a sense of loss is at risk of suicide. And with the pandemic, we've all experienced a loss in a level of freedom that we used to experience. We've lost the ability to meet with our friends. We've lost the ability to meet with our relatives. We don't get to go out as much as we used to. We don't even get to go out for supper as much as we used to if we were those that would go out for dining. So it's that sense of loss that is going to trigger people's depression and anxiety. And as a result, anybody who's experiencing that change in behavior, we know they've experienced a change or a loss, so we need to be a little bit more alert. For the most part, the most that we can do is just ask people. We do check-ins. How are you doing today? And make sure it's not just, hi, how are you? And then, oh, I asked, how are they? Now I have to listen. We want to get to a point where when we say, how are you? We're actually asking, how are you? What's going on? Is everything okay? Are you doing well? How are you functioning? And even if we're not functioning well, having somebody check in with us and say, hey, are you okay? That's an opportunity for us to be seen, heard, and valued. And as a result, we can usually resolve our own issues. Nobody can fix anybody else in this world. We have to fix ourselves. And as a result, knowing that the help is available is more often necessary than actually getting the help. So when you check in with somebody, they may need help, they may not need help, but whatever's causing them their stress and their crisis in their life, knowing that help is available is what's going to give them that hope for the future and that ability to be able to address it a little bit better.
I am wondering, how do people, or I should say organizations and businesses, access the first aid, the mental health first aid?
You can access it in different ways. The easiest for us, of course, is to give my office a call. You can reach me at 306-960-6811. That is my office cell, and I usually answer it just about 24 hours a day, but I do turn it down to vibrate at night so I can get some sleep. But if you give me a call, we can make arrangements to do a mental health first aid workshop with you. The workshop is $200 a person, and it is 2 days long, but it does teach you how to talk to people, and it gives you a really good in-depth background on mental health and mental health issues. So it gives us a level of understanding so that most of us know what to say. We just don't know that we know what to say. So it gives us the confidence to be able to have a conversation with somebody who's in a crisis and know that what we're doing is the right thing. Because so many of us, when we come across somebody who needs help, we didn't help because we didn't know what to say. We didn't want to make it worse. We don't know how to react. And as a result, we don't give them a chance to talk, and we don't take the time to listen. And when we take the time to listen, non-judgmentally, that's when people are getting the most help from us. Anybody who's been through any kind of a crisis, whether it's a loss of a loved one or anything else, nobody wants to talk about it because they don't want to make it worse. But giving them a chance to talk about it gives them a chance to process it and deal with what they're going through in their level of grief.
Gonna check if there's any questions in the chat.
One of the things that I can say is that having a level of honesty and clarity is important for everybody. And in the business world, because we are so uncertain times, dealing with the pandemic, not knowing if we're going to be shut down or not, and not knowing whether the whole economy is going to be shut down, it's making a difference. And the more you can have a clear level of communication with your employees and your co-workers, that gives you an opportunity to make sure everybody understands what you're doing, how you're doing it, so that they can have confidence, because we all want to know that we have a job, and when we're working, that we're going to get paid. And for most of us, that makes the difference between that sense of security and that sense of loss, where we don't know what we're going to do and our anxiety spikes. You know, most people right now, just because, for example, the schools have closed, now we're dealing with home care, child care, trying to keep the children on the course to be educated, but more importantly, who's going to take care of the kids if we're at work? So now the whole work process is thrown out of kilter. So everybody's going to be under a lot of stress as a result. And having the capacity to listen again to what the concerns are for your employees, maybe finding a way. A lot of people have found working from home works, and a lot of businesses have found that they're actually getting more production from their people because the work is being done more efficiently. But having that ability to talk to your employees, make sure they understand what you need from them and what they need from you to make the work process more palatable, for example, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Another question I have is, you listed that you're connected with a lot of other agencies.
Yes.
Can you describe some of those relationships?
The relationships that we have are one of two. One where we work together on a project, for example, with Sask Housing Authority or Sask Housing Corporation, pardon me. We work with them to develop a grant opportunity, and we try to take advantage of any money that's out there that the government is putting out to help develop housing. So we're working with companies like that. We work with the Saskatchewan Health Authority to deliver our programs, but also to try to communicate when some of our people are in a level of stress or anxiety, or if their illness is manifesting, to make sure that we communicate with the health authority on their behalf so that they get the help as soon as possible. We take quite a few phone calls on a daily basis, not just through the helpline, but just phoning the office, not knowing who else to talk to. And that's an opportunity. We don't have any formal counselors at Canadian Mental Health Association, but we're all pretty good listeners. And we have been around long enough to know that maybe you could talk to Catholic Family Services or Addiction Services or Maxi. We try and help them navigate to where they can get the help. But we also try and let them know that if they don't get where they need to go, to give us a call back so we can keep trying to help them. Because it's not getting the help that's as important as trying to get to the help and knowing that we're moving towards that.
Because sometimes when people try to access other agencies, if they don't use exactly the right terms and check the boxes off, so to speak, then they feel like they didn't get any help at that place and they're lost. Right?
It's a very specific talent to be able to sit down with somebody and listen to them and figure out what is it that they actually need, because quite often it's like peeling an onion. We have to peel so many layers to get down to what it is they actually need from us to be able to help them. And quite often people get put in a position where they're kept dependent. And what we're trying to do is find a way to navigate the system and get people to a point where they become independent. If they're looking for a place to live, we'll list off 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 landlords that they could try calling that we know may have places available if we don't have one available. But we don't make those phone calls for them. We make sure they have the phone number, maybe even give them a quiet space to be able to talk on the phone, to be able to access it themselves. Because we're trying to empower people to take care of themselves, not create dependency where they can't function without us. In an ideal world, we wouldn't exist because the mental health of our communities would be perfect. But it's not a perfect world and it's not an ideal world.
What can the community do to support you?
That's a very good question. Our vocational programs, the way we've designed things over the last 17 years, we've gone from being solely dependent on grants from the Saskatchewan Health Authority to now half of our revenue comes through our apartment blocks. So we've increased our revenue sources. We're trying to diversify. We're trying to create programming that not only provides that opportunity for our guys to work and participate and to interact with each other, but also becomes a revenue stream. So we've had our As Good as New store on Central Avenue that has been around for 30 years. It's closed temporarily because of the COVID, but when that's open, to have people come and shop makes a huge difference. We have a diner program that we partnered with the First Nations University, where we were serving meals to the students. The students, quite a few of their students are young mothers, and they get up, they get their kids dressed, fed, off to school, and then they have to rush off to school, and they may not have had time to eat breakfast themselves. So we were providing a one dish meal on a daily basis for the students to participate in. The Students' Union were paying half of the cost, and the students were paying half the cost. So they were getting a meal for $2.50. Those kind of initiatives. By starting our hydroponics, we're going to hopefully develop it into a big enough grow up that we can grow enough lettuce for not just our programs, but to help out at the food bank or to help out with Smart Family Food Co-op and to provide for our own people that are participating in the programs. We have a firewood business, so if we get the turnout and the participation that we hope, we're going to be bagging firewood and selling it on a daily basis. Or we may turn that into an annual or biannual fundraiser where we sell all the firewood in the fall and then all of it again in the spring that we've accumulated, just to try and make it easy. We're trying to find ways to raise money. We're always open for donations, And in fact, we've received several donations this year to help towards renovations. We've moved our drop-in center from the top floor to the main floor. And with that, we have to put the kitchen on the main floor and get some bathrooms developed to meet code. So in order to do that, we're doing the renovations. So we've gotten our drawings done. We're about to be hiring electrician and mechanical people to implement everything. But donations to help with that kind of a process are huge. When the cash calendars come out for sale every summer for the following year, that's an opportunity to support the province, but also our branch, because any calendars that we sell, we get a portion of the proceeds towards our programs. The cash calendar is actually a wonderful event that they have every year. All of the artwork in the calendar is created by our people. And there's $100 a day draw, plus there's a draw for, I believe, $14,000. There's artwork on a regular basis. I think they draw once a week for artwork, limited edition type of artwork. And it's just an opportunity, again, to be part of a process. You get a beautiful calendar, opportunity to win every day, and a chance to help out our programs and services.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
The biggest thing that I can say that people are looking for in life is hope for the future. We hope to be able to go forward and to get to where we want to go. And we may not even know where we want to go, but we do want to know that we have an opportunity to get there once we decide. So it's like going on vacation. We may not have a destination, but we want the drive to be enjoyable. And we hope that it's going to be rewarding and fun and productive. And most of us are feeling that way on a daily basis. Right now, because of the pandemic, what we've run into is people are stranded at home with no hope for what they're going to be able to do. They don't know if we're going to reopen. They don't know if we're going to have an opportunity to go out for suppers again, or can we go on vacation? So many people that have traditionally gone south for the winter can't do that this year. And in fact, they came home early last year. So now what are they going to do? And it's not knowing what we're going to do that throws a lot of people into a tailspin. So having an opportunity to plan what we're doing, you know, to have the tourism board start developing what can we do during COVID that is allowable under the circumstances, you know, with having to distance 6 feet and wear masks and all of the different regulations, that changes the dynamic of how we interact with each other. So how can we get back on track to living our lives in spite of COVID, rather than because of COVID and not living our lives? So right now, a lot of us have taken that time to relax, to spend as much time at home as we can. But I saw a funny meme on Facebook a short while ago where all the things that I said I would do if I had more time, that wasn't it. So now we're looking at, you know, for myself, all the things that I love to do if I had time. When I have time, I still don't do them because as much as I enjoy doing them, that's not what I was looking for. So starting to take the time to look into yourself and say, what is it I really want in life? What do I really want to do? Do I enjoy traveling? Do I enjoy working in the garden? Do I enjoy ice skating? What is it I enjoy doing that makes me feel good? And a lot of people have discovered that. They'll go to the gym on a daily basis, not just to get in better shape, but because they enjoy the process. And it's finding what you enjoy in life and learning to actually enjoy it and take the time to enjoy it. You know, we've had an opportunity now to take the time to smell the roses along the way. So now we have to go find some roses.
Heard people talking about that on the radio today. And somebody was talking about the time with your family. This is the time, if you ever felt like you never had enough time for your family, clearly we have it now. And are we using it?
Mm-hmm. You know, to make a list. Here's all the things that I'd like to do. Here's all the things that I want to do. Here's all the things that I will actually do. And picking and choosing. And maybe on certain days you pick from the list things that you would want to do. And is it possible to do these things? Because if what you were planning to do was travel the world, now is not the time. So put that on hold and pick something else. but try to find things that are going to give you that sense of reward, sense of fulfillment, sense of accomplishment, because the 4 levels that we're looking for is a level of success, accumulation, accomplishment, and achievement. And once we get some of those things, we feel good about ourselves. You know, for the years that you went to school, when you finally graduated, that sense of achievement. And when you got your first job, when you started saving money or buying the things that you need for your house to own your own stuff, that sense of accumulation, that's what gives us that sense of success. And we're all striving for success, but we don't necessarily know how to get there. So starting to look at how do we get to what we consider success? Because for some people, you know, living quietly in the country with the person you love is the world. Other people would go stir crazy, as we found out from the pandemic. Living with the person you love may not be the best thing for you at this point in time. So, you know, it's a matter of finding out what works for you, what is going to give you that sense of satisfaction, that sense of accomplishment. You know, a lot of people would love to play the piano, but they may not have the time. Now you have time to try it, but it may not mean that you're going to master it. So don't set yourself up for false expectations. If you want to learn to play the piano, start learning to play the piano. But don't think that after a month, you're going to be able to play the piano the way a professional does. You know, we still may be playing chopsticks after 3 weeks, but at least we're trying, and we're trying to do different things. For a lot of people, learning to read or reading the books that they would like to read, you know, you may not have a chance to keep up on your professional development. So reading journals, reading things that are of interest to you. Reading is a valuable resource that we have. And whether it's online through ebooks or getting books from the library or buying books, whatever is available. But reading is a great source of self-satisfaction for a lot of people. But if it's not for you, what is for you? Finding out what that is. How do we go forward with it?
So one last question. We just found out that we're all supposed to not even visit a family member or families at Christmas. How do you think people can best handle that issue?
Well, that's an interesting one, because not being able to visit a loved one, you're not getting the biofeedback from them that you normally would. But this is a good time to sit down and examine, well, what is it about seeing that person in person makes such a difference? And write them a letter, because a letter that's written from the heart to your loved ones, letting them know how you feel and how much you miss them, is going to do exactly what mental health is all about. It's giving them a sense of purpose on why they are here, giving them the sense of value and reward of being who they are to you. If it's your mom or your dad or your son, brother, whatever it may be, communicating with them. And yes, you know, it's hard this year because we can't see them in person, but we can let them see how valued they are. And knowing how valued they are is going to give them that sense of reward. I mean, we can go the whole year without seeing them, but we expect to see them at Christmas. Well, this year, the year is now a year and a half, and we'll see them next June perhaps. But letting them know how important they are to you is examining for yourself how you feel, but it's also giving them the answers to the question of how much do you love me? How much are you missing me? How important am I to you? Because again, we all want to be seen, heard, valued, cherished, and loved. And that letter to your loved one that you can't see at Christmas might be the best gift they've ever received.
Appreciate that answer. That's excellent.
Thank you. Anybody with any questions for me, whether it's today or down the road, you're welcome to give me a call on my cell phone, 306-960-6811.
I think that concludes what we've got organized for today. We are going to send out this recording, and Doug has given us his number so we can call if we have any questions or concerns or thanks. This has just come in across the chat. Thank you, Doug, for presenting. It's been very interesting and illuminating example, the sense of accomplishment, sense of purpose, sense of value, sense of achievement, sense of success, sense of satisfaction. So thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of this. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever is the appropriate greeting. Please enjoy to the best of our ability everything that we get to do over the next couple of weeks. The next chamber event will not be until January. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong calendar. January the 10th, which will be our PA at 5, hosted by Joe Bexon with PA Now. But in between, please let us know what the chamber can do to help any and all of you with any of your business or any questions or concerns that you have. Our chamber office will be closed from December the 24th, returning back to work on January the 4th. So hopefully everyone gets to enjoy some time off. And thank you so much for being a part of our event here today. Chat soon and have an awesome rest of the Tuesday.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.